Hello, that new announcement feature is interesting. Happy Monday. This is our last call in May. Next week is Memorial Day. I'm going to be out of town. So I just thought, let's just take next Monday off and be with our families. So today is our last one in May. We still have 7 whole days left of the month. So even if you feel like you're nowhere near Success Club, you still have plenty of time. We have our 140 pack on sale. What's really been helping me is saying for 41 extra dollars, you can get a month of Shakeology or Energize and Performance, all of that. Like really like breaking it down to for only 40 more bucks. That seems to help with those people who are like, oh, I just want to hear a pod. But tonight we wanted to go on and just kind of share a little bit about the comparison game. I feel like this is the game that just gets everybody at some point or another. Sometimes we're in that season for longer. And so just how you can get out of it. I was actually talking to Kim today and telling her, like, I really have felt a huge shift this last about year, 14 months. And so we're just going to kind of share, take turns, and go with it. Since I'm already talking, I'll go ahead and start and then we will pass it along. But just, we want you to ask questions. Maybe there's something that you've been struggling with and you're like, okay, maybe somebody else, maybe we didn't mention it, but we can share how we've combated that. But I really think, like, I've been doing this for 6 years now, and it's very easy to be seeing somebody else's highlight reel or what they're sharing and being like, I can never be them. And I remember coming home from Summit. I'd been a coach for 7 months and literally said, I can never do this. I should just quit. Because I know a lot of people are super motivated by Summit and all of the big glitz and glamour. And I literally just shut down because I was like, how am I going to commit to that? I'm working full time. I have little boys running around. My husband is coaching. Like, there's no way I can do that. And so I think, like, over the years, the comparison game has definitely shifted in different sites and ways for me, and it tries to sneak up every now and again. But the things that I've noticed that have really, really helped me is, one, when I'm noticing that I'm comparing myself to somebody, I have to kind of use that mute or unfollow button. That has been really, really key in my like progression over the years, is because if I'm noticing that somebody is triggering that jealousy, I can't have them showing up on my feed without me intentionally going and looking. And so what I mean is, it doesn't mean I don't have to, like, I won't go check in and see that person or whatever. It just means I don't want them sneaking in on me when I'm in work mode or I'm doing other things. I want it to be like I'm sitting down and consciously being, I just want to know how they're doing, instead of sitting there and scrolling and watching me like, man, they're really awesome and I'm just not blank. And so I've had to use that a lot, and that has really helped me. I've also had to tell people who are in a position that they like speak into my life or try to encourage me, and telling them that that is not a way to encourage me. And I have been compared to other coaches and they're like, oh, well, look, she is a teacher and look how fast she grew. And I understand the idea of, like, we're both teachers, but like if we're comparing, like, me and Jessica, we're on two very different journeys. Yes, we're both teachers. The problem that's different is I have 4 kids. She doesn't. She does all these a million extracurriculars. And maybe I only did softball. Like, you can't compare apples to oranges. Like, you just can't. And so I think really saying, like, comparison is not, like, telling me they're doing awesome, you should do that too, doesn't help me. It doesn't encourage me. But I've had to be very, like, abrupt or saying, like, that is not helpful. I need you to stop saying that. Being an identical twin, I've just compared my entire life. And so literally if someone starts saying, look at what they're doing better than you, I start to be like, I can't do it. I can't. I'm not that outgoing. I'm too shy. There's no way I'm going to be able to do that. And so I think really identifying your triggers and being able to say, okay, I can't be around that person. I can't have them showing up in my feed. That's been very, very helpful to me. And I know we keep saying this over and over again, and I didn't believe people in the beginning, and it's personal development. Like, and it's not just reading any personal development, it's figuring out what you need specifically. And so, like, for me, I needed to be reminded how amazing I was and that I could do anything. It doesn't matter what other people think about me. because as a people pleaser that I am, I always worried that someone's going to think I was calling them fat, or that I wasn't fun enough, or I wasn't dancey enough, and all of the things. And so the book that really helped me was Jen Sincero's You Are a Badass. Like that was like game changer for me. Yes, she does have some language in it, but she kept telling me like I don't have to worry about what Sally's doing over here, because all it matters is what I'm doing, like, and how I'm helping and serving and going after my goals. I just finished her Habits, her newest book, and I really liked that. And it was 21 days of like going through and just like realizing you could pick a habit that you want to do. But she, like, her books really do help. And so finding those books, another one was Mastering Your Mean Girl. That was really good. Get your SIT together. Sorry, Sarah, I did read that. And it was amazing because it was like those little things that I wasn't doing very well at that really helped me feel more productive. And so I needed to be more productive with my time. And that book really helped me like stop making excuses. Like, yes, life is full, but it's full for everybody. And so really figuring out, like, you have to identify, where do you feel is your weakness, or maybe ask somebody, okay, this is where I'm struggling with, what would you suggest? And so just, figuring out that is, and like reading those books, but being intentional about it. Like the day I started deciding, no matter what, I'm going to get up and have my quiet time and my personal development and my gratitude, and I committed to that and haven't missed, I've really, really noticed a shift. Even when I get up late, I will skip something else to make sure that is done first. And that is my priority. So even if I only have 30 minutes, unfortunately, my workout's going to go later because I know that I need to start my day with that stuff instead. And really making sure that I have that in the new book. I think is it Badass Habits? I think it's called, like 21 days or something. And that she said, like, you have to be able to start your day with gratitude. That was one of her 5 things, because you can't be in a state of gratitude and complaining at the same time. It's just like your brain won't do it. And so making sure that you're starting your day with that. And sometimes I sit there, if I'm in like a funky mood, I will sit there for a long time and like, okay, well, I'm thankful for Energized today. What else am I thankful for? Like, I don't want to keep repeating myself. And like, obviously, like, if it's stuff is hard, I'm trying to, like, I do all of the things, that my boy slept through the night, that nobody is sick, just finding all of the things that I'm thankful for, even if it's little. And I had read something about, like, when you're like, even somebody who's bothering you, if you start saying the things that you're grateful for them, like, it helps shift your mindset and your attitude towards them. And somebody said that they were having a hard time in their relationship, and it was a simple thing as, I like their nose. And then the next day they were like, well, they have a good smile. And it was just little things, trying to purposely find good in the hard in order to make it happen. And so those things are good. See, Kim, yes. And all of us, we love that. Sorry, Sarah. And then, like, the other thing that really has helped me is celebrating along the way. I felt like I kept going and being like, well, I'm not there yet, so I can't celebrate. And I've had the conversation where I was like, it's been 6 years. I'm not farther along like I wanted to. And my husband's very good about being like, but look how far we've come. This was our goal, and look how much you've exceeded it. Or let's, like those types of things. And so even like when I get my bonus from 2-star, I'm like, well, it's not the 5-star bonus like I wanted. And he's like, let's go to dinner. You got your bonus. Just like making sure that you celebrate those things, even if it's like, all right, I went 2 months in a row of Success Club, or I hit Success Club for the first time, or my commission was $100 more than last month. Like, really tracking those things and being able to celebrate is like huge. And so that really has helped me with the comparison game, and just remembering that everybody is different. And so when I decided to say, okay, these are my goals, and being completely honest with, this is what I'm willing to do, I can't get upset that I'm not as far along as Kate Schultes, because I wasn't willing to work 8 hours a day like she was. And that's just how it is. And so that's why I say track it, because a lot of times we say, well, I was working for 2 hours. But working for 2 hours creating a beautiful graphic is not the same thing as spending 2 power hours. And so really being understanding and taking ownership of that. And like, I've had the conversation with Kate because we're both on market council together. And I said, people were trying to compare me to you. And she goes, why would they do that? You have 4 kids and I have none. And now she has a little boy. But for her first year and a half, 2 years of building the business, she didn't have anybody. And so that's a completely different thing. Or trying to compare yourself to somebody whose husband's gone on deployment. We all know if we don't have somebody else to take care of, it's really easy to work more hours. But when you have to make dinner for your family and it's not just you going and grabbing snacks, well, you have to stop and walk away. And so I think that that's been like the huge shift for me over the last little bit. And I really, really felt like I'm seeing progress, and maybe it's not at exponential speed like somebody who puts in 12 hours, but all of the things that I've been able to do because of this business has been like, I have to celebrate that. And I have to realize like my goal was to come home and to replace my teaching salary. Now I'm making almost 3 times I did when I was teaching. So that's good. Even though I'm not that specific rank, I have to be okay with like, it's not all the same. It's not all linear. Like you're going to have here, this was a good thing. Oh, we had a bad thing, but now we have a good thing. And so that has just been really big for me. And then having those people that you can vent to, that's going to be like, all right, when are you going to get out of this? Like, when are you going to suck it up? And you need that. And you have to be okay with those people being like, I hear you, that sucks, but let's move on. Okay. And so those are my things. Kim or Amy, who wants to go next?
Okay. I feel like we're probably going to say a lot of the same things between the 3 of us, just in our own ways. But I did take notes because like I squirrel like really bad. So when we talked about this subject, I was like, I will take notes because we all know. Okay, so I want to just start by saying that everybody runs their business differently. And there is no right way. When I first started coaching 3 years ago, I thought it had to be done in this box. Like I had to fit in the box that everybody else was doing. And I stayed in that box and I was stuck there for what felt like forever but in the meantime, I would always message people here and there and be like, but I want to do it this way. Like, but I thought I had to be in the box. You can't color outside of the lines, right? And so finally, like my confidence muscle just grew over time. And I was like, no, like, this is my business. No one else is paying my bills, right? And so I think it's very important that no matter where you are in your business, that because it's easy to fall back into it because comparison is the thief of joy, right? That everybody runs their business differently, and that's okay. In my opinion, like I've been with Josh on his Push Elite group for it'll be like a year. It's coming up on a year, and before that, I did like 6 to 9 months with him. So I've had him like in my ear for more than half of my coaching time, right? And what I've learned from that is that I am so glad. So like in the beginning of my coaching journey, I thought it was like weird or like cheating or I wasn't as good because I have my daughter on one side and my husband on the other side. And a lot of people can't have that. A lot of people just don't have that. They may just have a spouse or a partner or whatever, whoever they put there, a mom or whatever. And I personally thought that I was like less than, or I wasn't good enough because I had controlled accounts on both sides. And when I interviewed to get into Josh's group, I told him that. And I told him that like Melissa was like, but you got yourself to 1 star. You did that. Like you yourself got 24 people. You, not somebody else that you got to diamond, like, you know, that you had somebody running with you. You did that yourself. And I just needed to hear that from Melissa and then also from Josh, like that's not sometimes harder work. Not sometimes, like that is harder work than having somebody running with you, right? And it was at that moment that I was like, and then I got into Push Elite and I found out that that's how everybody does it. Like okay, maybe not everybody, right? But like everybody in Push Elite at least. And there's like 43 of us in there. We all have controlled accounts. And at that point, I was like, okay, controlled accounts is an okay thing. Like, I'm not going to feel bad on myself for having controlled accounts, because that also is security. Nobody in this world has job security unless you own your own business. And in my opinion, having controlled accounts is like job security, because you control those accounts. So that was a huge mindset shift for me. So if any of y'all have controlled accounts, I definitely recommend me, right? Melissa or Amy may say something totally different, but I definitely recommend that you build that account for that job security, because you control one or both sides depending on your situation. So that was a really big thing. Also being just during my journey through coaching, I have gone through like some ups and downs. Like, we all know that like my coach quit. That was very hard on me. That's when I started with Josh, was because I needed that. Like, my mindset was just wrecked, right? And so for a very long time, up until, I don't know, Jill probably knows, a few months ago, I've had to have that person blocked. Not muted, like she was blocked, because I would look at her stuff and just get really jealous and just like mad all at the same time. Like, you freaking left, right? And I had to sit with all of that and work through all of that to finally be okay with, like, she's not blocked anymore. And if I see her, or I see her upline post about her, I don't have those same feelings anymore, because I let myself go through, there's like this fly, because I let myself go through that motion that I was like really hesitant to go through. So, and that's even with me coaching for years, right? Like, these are just normal feelings that we have, you know? And I know that I'll go through them again later with something down the road, right? But since I have taken so much time with that personal development and like sat with it and worked on my mindset, when I see her stuff now, again, I'm just like that's good for her. She needed to do what she did for her business, for herself. And that is not a direct reflection upon me or any of my failures, right? Like, but it took time. So it's okay to need to take a break. It's okay. It would have been okay if I never unblocked her, right? Like, it is okay. And I feel like we are doing ourselves a disservice if we have somebody that is sucking that energy out of us. I'm reading Energy Bus right now, and I talked about that on my stories today, that there are just energy vampires everywhere that are just wanting to take what we are working so hard for, right? And those people may be just haters on social media. Like, I posted a salad the other day and some person was like, that's just rabbit food. And I'm like, cool. If you actually watched my stories, you'd know that like I eat way more than just salad, but like, bye. You know what I mean? I could have let that person's negative energy affect me and make me like, now I need to eat more. Now I need to this or whatever. But I was like, cool, peace out. Like, you're not my person anyways, right? So there are energy vampires everywhere we go, whether we know them or we don't know them, right? But it's so important that we stay true to who we are and our mission and our values. And you really do, like Melissa suggested, and you work on you. If that means you skip your workout that day or it happens later because you needed to work on your mindset, like, you have to work on your mindset, because at the end of the day, that's the only thing you really have is your mind. You know, and if it's not strong AF, then like when times get hard, what are you going to do? Are you going to want to quit because 50 people have told you no? Or are you going to quit because someone made you mad and said all you do is eat freaking salad? Like, what are you going to do? Right. So I think that really, and I was so like resistant to personal development for a very long time. I thought it was like stupid. That and journaling. And it wasn't until I went to the Destin retreat when Rachel Luna had us like journal, when I was like, everybody's gonna see my secrets. And then she's like, throw it away. I'm like, who's gonna look in the trash and pull out my secrets? Like, I had never journaled before. And that was what, I don't know, what was that, 2 years ago or 3 years ago? Like, it wasn't that long ago. So I didn't start really working on my mindset until I came into Beachbody. So, okay, hold on. Everybody runs their business differently. In my opinion, controlled accounts. I feel like I checked off a lot of these. Hold on. Oh, so the other thing that when I start to like compare myself, so I don't follow top coaches. I may go to their pages, but I don't follow them, right? And I have this whole thing about not following them, which we don't even need to get into right now, but I don't follow like top coaches. But when I start to, even just in Push Elite, see girls that are hitting like a C70, right? And I'm over here like what? And I start to compare myself. I start to remember that like we all have the same toolkit. No one has a bigger one. No one has a better one than me, right? But what they have that maybe I don't have is that time, right? They have the time to sit, or assistants, which I don't have an assistant because I refuse to hire an assistant because I'm like, like don't even get me started. And so they may have these things that I am not willing to do or don't have time to do. We all have the same toolkit. So then I have to sit back and be like, okay, what is really different? And so I started clocking my time again and just being super transparent. Like last week, I only worked 8 hours. Well, that's why, like that right there, for my goals, that's not enough time, right? And so I said to Melissa Saturday, I think I was like, I need you to hold me accountable this week because that time has to double if I want to reach my goals. And when I was doubling that time, I was reaching those goals that I wanted to reach. So before any of us fall into that comparison game, I think it's important that we turn and look at ourselves first and be like, okay, but what am I really doing? What am I really doing with the time that I have that I'm supposed to be working? And the last thing is, which these are very quick, is that I think it's important that we do celebrate every single win. Who says that a celebration has to be when you hit a rank? Who says? Like, I don't, that's dumb, right? If you haven't hit SC in a year and you get even 2 freaking points on the board, like you better celebrate that. Like that's a big freaking deal. If somebody said yes to you and you had 50 no's, that's a big freaking deal. So I think it's so important that we celebrate every single win. And then the last thing I have is I finally figured out, because I'm very much of like a director. Like I just like, there's not a lot of fluff when it comes to me. And there's nothing wrong with that. But sometimes what happens in turn is that I don't want people to know that I don't know what I'm talking about, right? Or that I need help with something. And so I had to learn very quickly to always be a student, and that it's okay to be like, I don't really know, but like I'm going to figure it out, right? And so I just highly encourage you guys to always be a student, always be coachable, because things are constantly changing. But again, we all have that same toolkit. We just have to like be willing to use it. So that's it.
All right. Yeah, I have, a lot of the same things, but something that I had to go back to, like, when is the most competition I've ever felt in my life? And so when I played college softball, it's very competitive, very but competitive in that you do compete against your own teammates for like position on the field, position in the lineup, position, scholarship money. Like it is all very much driven by competition, not only like win or lose as a team, but even within the team, there's a lot of competition. And it makes sense because you have a team of very competitive people. Like, how do you motivate them? Competition. And so I've always looked at competition is not necessarily bad. It's how is competition, how are you using it? And how can you like use it just in your own, like staying in your own lane. So one thing, when I was a senior, our coach got so mad because first of all, he told us, do not look at the stats. Like, I don't want you guys looking at stats whatsoever. That is my job, the coach's jobs. That is but it's out there on the internet because it's public information. And so of course we're all going to look at the stats because you want to know where you line up versus these other people, not against just your own team, but in the conference, in the region, in the nation. And so I'm guilty. I would look at it all the time. I wanted to know where I stood. But when he told us not to look, then he did something. He was like, okay, I'll tell you what. Here, I am putting your stats. I am giving you your stats. That is it. I only want you to have your own stats because I'm a different kind of hitter than my best friend, who was also a very good hitter. But I'm a different kind of hitter. My job, my role on the team was different than hers was. And so I'm hitting more for power, for RBIs. Her job is to get on base. Like, that's her job. And so I don't know how much you know about the game of softball, but those are very, very different. So your numbers are going to look very, very different. You cannot compare those two things. And so what he did was said, here's yours. You improve your stats. You improve what you want to improve. What do you want to work on? And that's kind of where I've taken like the business part of it. When I start kind of looking around is, okay, what do I want to improve on? What is my why? Like, why am I doing this? It's different than all yours. So why am I doing this? Am I hitting like the numbers that I want? Am I using the hours that I have in a way? And I want to track, the numbers, the goals that are very specific to me and where I want to grow. So we might not want to grow in the same ways, and that's okay, but keep track of what you want to grow. And so if it's, I want to improve, like, so this month I'm tracking my posts and stuff. I've written it down. I've written what posts have done well. I've written like, okay, this was good. This wasn't. Look at this one on this day sucks. This one on this day does really well right away. Like, and those are for me. Those aren't for you because yours are going to be totally different. So when I focus on my business, what I can control, because I can't control anybody else's business, right? I can only control me. I can only control my energy, my effort. And so why should I look what other people are doing? And it's true, like we all have different things in our life that are demanding upon us, and it's going to be, my schedule might not look as crazy as Kim's crazy schedule is crazy compared to like what mine might look like. But then, you know, it might be my kids are being more demanding or whatever. So you can't, the whole like comparing apples to oranges, I think is huge, is we can't do that. But what we can compare is our own stuff. And then the other thing that I think really, really helps with my own like comparison is really getting to know who I am and who I want to become, and knowing what my strengths are, and knowing like if I know what I'm good at, it doesn't matter. Hold on, baby.
How did my iPad stop working?
I don't know. Go ask Corbin.
It started doing this like 10 hours ago.
I don't know. She doesn't take no for an answer, you guys. She will. She's persistent. I have two like that. Two that are like, no, I don't care what you're doing. I want your attention. But knowing what I'm really like, what I am good at, and claiming those, like, I do not think it's bad to be like, I'm really good at this. And so that's what I'm going to lean into, and knowing where my weaknesses are too. But claiming, getting to know yourself, and then claiming what you are good at, celebrating those little things. And I love that Melissa and Kim both mentioned that, because I think that's really, really important, so that we keep, because it is nice to celebrate. It's nice to know that you're doing a good job. And so what is it that rank doesn't necessarily happen all the time every Thursday, but what does happen every Thursday? I get a paycheck every Thursday, so I'm going to celebrate that paycheck every Thursday. And just celebrating those little things, I think, is huge to keep us like focused and realizing like I am doing good. I'm doing a good job in these areas and places where, like Kim said, if you're tracking certain things like your hours and you realize, ooh, didn't do a really good job there, like that's okay. But I think not judging, like using numbers as a way to improve and not judge is huge. Because we can, I mean, it can go either way. You can use numbers to be like, oh, I'm horrible at this, or you can use it to, how can I be better? So choosing that, choose how can I am better, how can I improve, I think is huge. So yeah, and then the last little thing that I read in Jordan Dooley's book was replacing jealous thoughts with joyful thoughts about about the other person or about yourself, and I think that is huge too. So joy, joy, joy. All right, 3 minutes left.
We have 3 minutes. Any questions?
Me too, Ashley. I do love it.
It's Own Your Everyday. That's the book they're talking about. That's on my list for next.
I have something that I feel like is going to take longer than 3 minutes.
All right, go.
But what I've been struggling with lately is feeling like I don't have control over my business, because like I've been pushing for 2-star for so long, and it's so frustrating because I have Peter like to the point where like I just need the 2 emeralds, and then I need like 1 more diamond on like my other side, and it keeps going in and out. And so like I feel like I have no control over if I get to 2-star or not. So that's where I'm struggling. Like I don't have control. So how do I work through that?
You have, like, this is what I've come to it, is I have to control the controllables. I have to keep doing my tracker. I have to keep inviting and keep adding customers and coaches, and eventually it'll happen. Maybe it's not in the timeline that you have laid out in your mind. But I also feel like sometimes we get so caught up in that one thing that we drive people away, or we sound desperate. We don't mean to. And so I think really being like, okay, my goal is to do my tracker this many times, and I want to do all of that tech, instead of putting it specifically on that. Like, obviously that is, I have that goal in mind, but the only thing I can control are my actions. I can't control if my coaches continue to build. And so I'm going to show up every single day, and I'm going to show them that what the things that I'm doing, I'm going to lead the way in Success Club and adding people. And then in time, it's going to build. And the benefit of that is you're still going to get that income and all of that. Maybe the rank doesn't come exactly when you think it should, but I want to encourage you, like, you can control your actions and your actions only. And so to make sure you keep pushing that.
And maybe that's where I struggle too, is because I feel like I have like consistent every day, all the time. And that's like, I'm not seeing, I think, the results I want to see. So, I know.
I think we're going to lose this in a second, so I apologize. But I do want.
No, I'm like, I want to say something, but I feel like I have like
Hurry,
10 seconds. Go. But we can chat later.
I just want to encourage you, like, don't compare your path to somebody else's. You guys are all on your own, and if you do you, you will be blessed in it. So keep serving and loving people, and I promise it's going to come. But if you quit, it will not come. I'm going to be gone for 11 days. So if you need anything, I'm sorry. I'm going to be gone.